Welcome one and all to the first ever social media hangout. This brand new hangout series is going to be based upon the user interaction in the social media communities. Now before we get started, let's begin where any good Googler starts, and that's our profiles. My name is Andrij Harasewych. I grew up in Philadelphia, well just outside of Philadelphia, and though I was a mechanical engineer by education, I graduated from Villanova University, I actually decided I hated engineering. I wanted to be dealing with people, dealing with businesses, and I learned how to market. I taught myself. I read all the blogs, a lot of the blogs from the guys that'll be in the hangout with me today, and it's not a difficult thing to do. Anyone can do this, and we're here to show you how. Now, first let's introduce Eric.
I'm Eric Enge, CEO of Stone Temple Consulting. I'm participating in these social media hangouts and hopefully acting as a beneficial steward to these communities as well. Background for me actually is engineering as well, and I loved it. But then I found myself becoming a business guy and a marketing guy, and I love that more. So maybe that says I love everything. But I love this social media stuff as well. So I'm going to enjoy having the opportunity to talk with this great group of guys, not only today, but on future hangouts as we run this series. So hello, everybody.
Hey, Andrew, thanks for having me here and having me to be a part of this. I am Mark Traphagen. I'm with the Stone Temple Consulting, Senior Director of Online Marketing, and also have been on Google Plus since its third day.
This is Andrew. I'd like to apologize for this error we've had with the broadcast. Mark's introduction got cut off and we never came back to him. So just a few more words about Mark. You may know him from his Google Plus and authorship expertise both here on his blog and on Google Plus itself, as well as seeing him as a regular columnist on Google Plus for Maximize Social Business, as well as an experienced speaker in conferences and in businesses across the United States. So up next we have Ben Fisher from Steady Demand. Ben?
My name is Ben Fisher, and I'm with SteadyDemand.com. For those of you who don't know me, I'll just start off really quickly. Back in 1994, I actually started up my first online community. It was a little place called Virtual Flagstaff, and we had about 60,000 members, I think, on our site, and we also had an engaging forum. Since then, I've also started, and moderated communities that range from mainly the video gaming space to also the web hosting industry. And then I took a kind of a break off of communities for quite a long time. Well, actually, no, for the past 10 years, it's all been about video games and web hosting. So, but as far as what I do is my company, basically, we run brand pages on behalf of companies. And one of the awesome and interesting things has always been is working with communities and kind of getting to know moderators. So that's one of the things that we'll be talking about today is how to really get your posts to stick within the community and get to know the people in the community and engage. And thank you, Andrew, for including me in this. And hey, everybody, that's it.
So, Kristoffer, who are you?
I am the CEO of Wheel Media. We're a digital public relations firm and an internet marketing agency. Much of our portfolio is made up of financial clients, some retail clients, some people in the music industry. We also do independent professionals, and we represent some major brands in North America as well. I'm an advocate of ethical internet marketing, and as you all know, I am a huge fan of Google Plus and Mark Traphagen.
All right, and last but not least, at least until we see if Ryan comes back, Dustin?
Hello, I have returned. I have no idea what just happened, but thank you all for staying tuned. My name is Dustin, and I actually come from a background in the entertainment industry. You probably wouldn't guess that from a web designer, because there aren't many actor, film web designer guys out there. But that's where I came from. I grew up in small town Pennsylvania, moved out to Hollywood, California to pursue acting, and had a lot of fun in that, but realized that in LA celebrities act and actors wait tables, and I didn't really like waiting tables. So I had to find another way to make income and to make a living in one of the most expensive places in the world to live. So I had a gift for design. I knew graphic design a little bit and just started doing it for my church, and taught myself web design basically from the ground up using WordPress. And before I knew it, people were complimenting my websites and my graphics and asking me if they could pay me money to do that same thing for them. And I realized, oh wow, I can actually make money doing something that I like doing, and that's really cool. So today I am the founder and blogger extraordinaire at Dustin.tv, and I help individuals, brands, businesses, and babies alike look awesome online. And Micah agrees. So that's me, Dustin. Thank you for having me.
We started with this notion, and I think Andrij, you started it with this notion that, hey, you know, he was running this great community, but by partnering with some of the other really great communities in the on social media and in Google+, that we could create a greater whole by collaborating and finding a way to each get their own individual focus, yet have places of intersection where they work together.
Exactly, Eric. Together we're a stronger community, we can rely on each other, and we can each focus on our strengths and allow the communities to really shine for what they are. Next, we want to introduce you to the social media communities. First, we have Strategy. The Strategy community is the flagship social media community. It's the one where we show off the top 10% of the top 10% of the top 10% of posts on Google+. We want to make sure that this community, that not only are the links and the content being shared within the post accurate and worthwhile for the audience to click on, but that the actual post is the best possible example of a Google+ post. It's our, like I said, it's our highest moderated. The level of moderation is the highest for all the communities, and we really just want to see the best of what you can do. Though the topic may be broader and the community may be larger, we purposely try to keep it to a low number of posts each day in order to make sure that you don't get overwhelmed. That just like most of the large communities on Google+, where you'll see hundreds of posts in a single day and there's no real sense of community or longevity even to any of the posts. And we don't want a community like that. We want one where really the best possible posts, the best examples are shown to the audience, as well as the most active members getting that privilege and that ability to have their posts in the community. If you're not interacting with anyone else, why should we be sending traffic and links to your blog? You know, it's not very fair to the other members of the audience. You know, so we want accuracy, we want expertise, but we want engagement and we want an interactive community. But next in the communities I want to introduce is the creative social media community, which is helmed by Dustin. But it's a wonderful part of the social media communities and a growing community itself. So take it away, Dustin.
And you know, I started as a big fan and a member inside the social media strategy community, and I noticed that you know, there was a lot of really great conversations going on in there, and it was all very strategery oriented, if you will. And I love talking strategy. I really do. I can have those conversations all day long, and I'm sure some of my fellow social pros can agree with me. Strategy is so much fun to talk. But and Micah agrees. He loves those conversations too. But I have a creative gift, and my creative gift is somewhat related to strategy. Micah, he just loves the Google Hangouts, so he wants to be a part of them. But I felt like there was just an angle to the conversation that was already happening that was lacking in the creative area, because obviously the community was named Social Media Strategy, not social media creativity. So I just felt like there needed to be a different angle on the conversation, and so I created, creative social media, and it kind of centers around the more artistic side of social media, the less analytical, the less executing strategy, more along the lines of creative ways to use social, infographics and strategies that kind of go outside the box and outside of the norm. That's kind of what I aimed at. Those conversations that seem to go, wow, that's innovative, or wow, that's that's super creative, or wow, look at what they did with this new platform, things like that. And it's still a baby community. It's still relatively new. I think we've barely broken 500 members or so. But the conversations are starting, and I'm really excited because that's where my I think my real not passion, but that's where my real kick comes when we have those creative discussions.
And like you said, it's not just graphic design, right? It's anything that just kind of makes you stop with social
anything
media
that inspires you to think more, or to be more outside the box thinking, or be more innovative in the execution. So yeah, it's not limited to graphics at all.
Great. Well, and our next community up is professionals. I was hoping to have Ryan introduce this community, as he was the founding father of the professionals community, so to speak. I met Ryan a long time ago when he was G+ Tips on Google+, back when personal profiles had no name requirements, no nothing. He really kind of sunk his teeth into Google+, and he was teaching other people how to use Google+ before people even realized it existed. So the professionals community, it's more of a place where you can discuss, like it says, with other professionals. It's not for displaying to the world or talking about strategy with every single company. It's when you want to bounce your ideas off of a core group of people, this seems like the community to do it. Even before we really combined forces, I mean, Ryan had fewer people in that community, but they had more engagement. That's something that was really telling about what Ryan was doing there and the conversations they were having. They were definitely powerful. And the last one up, which, sorry, I know you're listening to me for a long time, but it's the discussions community. We felt there are certain questions that are asked in strategy and professionals where we have to ensure our moderation policies. We ask people to interact in the community before posting, but if someone has a single question or they just want to know something, how is it fair that we just delete their post and don't answer their question? So what we're trying to do with discussions is pull out any kind of, if you just want to talk about a topic, you just want to riff about something, you don't have any content to share, you don't have anything to bring up as far as a link, and you just want to say, hey, where's SEO going in the next year? What do you think? That's the place to do it. If you want to ask us a question about Facebook, Google, Twitter, Instagram, we'll make sure to get the right pros on your answer and, spread it around and make sure we start a nice discussion about it. But as far as I'd like to open it up to the floor and all the speakers here and see, where would you like to see the community going in the next year? Eric?
Yeah, no, I think there's lots of things that we can do with them. I mean, I think to me, just creating engaging posts and really working at getting something where between the communities we're able to help people, improve their skills. I mean, think of it as a place where you can get an almost illicit edge on the people who aren't in these communities, because we're sharing so much good info back and forth and helping each other grow. And the communities are open, so it's not like people are excluded, but
except for the ones we ban.
Sorry?
Except for the ones we ban.
Well, there is that, yes, except for the ones we boot out. But that's what I'd like to see, and I think that's I get lots of great information from reading the posts, I'll tell you that, and always some good stuff being shared.
Andrew, I think it's developing also as a training ground. in a way, and I don't think that was maybe an intention of any of our parts, but I see it happening. First of all, by some of us who know how to craft, especially a good Google Plus post, creating posts that have good substance to them. It's not just dropping a link, but has some interest. Has some substance in the post itself, in the introduction, raises something that's going to get a conversation going. So first of all, we're modeling, and we need more people doing that. But also, I'm seeing opportunities where somebody comes in and posts something good, but maybe didn't put it up in the way that would get the most engagement or create as much interest in it as they could have. And I'm seeing some of us entering into a conversation there and saying, hey, if you tried this, or if you posted it this way, or if you put it in this other community, you might do better with that. So I think that should be one of our functions as we go on. It's also to act as mentors to people, not only talking about social media, but mentoring and modeling, this is how you do it.
Exactly. That's something I've tried to do from the start. If I'll respond to a topic, but I'll also say, hey, did you know you should bold titles in the post? You get more engagement that way, like you said. And something else, we have our strictest moderation is definitely in the strategy community because of the size, obviously. But something that we want to require is that, people, they know this platform, that they know what they're doing when they post into the strategy community, because that being our flagship community, we want people to go in there and see the best possible example of a Google Plus post. We want to see the formatting. We want to see you mentioning people. Use a hashtag or two if it's necessary, or not a bad hashtag.
So you should bring your A game when you come to the strategy community.
Exactly. Maybe use the professionals community to bounce your content off of those other pros first, and then when your content's ready, when it's finally polished, when you've done all of the spelling and grammar, seriously, if you don't check your post for spelling and grammar, it will probably be removed. It's the basics, and if you're a marketer and you're trying to teach others how to market, you have to do it right yourself. That's definitely something I feel, at least. But I know Kristoffer and I, we skinned our teeth. Is that even a phrase? But on the strategy community, basically learning both ourselves and dealing with about every spammer and angry person under the sun. But Kristoffer, what's your biggest pet peeve in the communities? I'd be curious to hear that once we have you unmuted.
Do you possibly have him
He looks
turned
muted.
off? Yeah, because he's signaling that he can't unmute.
Oh, well, that's not fun. There we go. Let me turn
There
this
we are.
here.
Yeah.
Everyone's
my biggest
unmuted.
pet peeve is, much as each of you have been saying, it's the people that come in and just simply, drop a link, with a couple of words. My favorite is, hey, you should check this out. Hey, check this out. Why? I have my stream flies through. I've got posts from Mark Traphagen, and
Can we first say that just the phrase "check this out" is the phrase that every marketer who calls himself a professional should eliminate from their vocabulary? Can we just
check
agree
this
on
out.
that?
Don't use that
Check
phrase.
this out doesn't work.
All in favor say check this out.
Check
Check it out.
Check it right out of your vocabulary. But yeah, you got to give a little more meat than that, because like I was saying, there's so many posts going through your stream. There's so many interesting people to hear from. That title, like you said with the bold, that title's got to grab you. I've said before, the first 100 characters, even the first 200 characters. That's where you've got to grab my attention. Otherwise, I'm going to flip right past you. And countless times, Wheel Media's got a number of popular posts simply by doing, what we just spoke of, taking a post that was good, had good content, had a good link, but had no meat. And we just rewrote the post, put it up the way it should be with a good title, a little bit of a catcher there, some bulleted points, and gave the link, to go to the post, and left the original up. And to compare the two, the reshares twice as much, plus one's twice as much. And all we did was the same information, it was the same link, we just presented it differently. And moving forward, I'd like to see more people, putting a little more effort into, getting the audience's attention. And that's, like Andrew said from the beginning, I remember 3 o'clock in the morning arguing with people You know, they just, you know, do you know who I am? You know, I have this many followers, and this isn't
20
Facebook.
years of marketing experience on social media. I said, what?
Yeah.
How long has Google Plus been around? Like, come on.
But that's the problem with them. You know, this isn't Facebook. This isn't Twitter. You know, this isn't even LinkedIn. This is Google Plus. And, you know, we do things a little differently, and we try to encourage other people to do it a little differently.
Something
if I
else to
could just
note.
add to that, I think our conversation, Andrew, when we first started brainstorming this, and I'm sure that the conversation went the same with the other guys too, is that I feel like, and this is what I felt like for a long time, is that Google Plus communities have matured. You know, in the beginning, it was everyone was trying to figure out what they're about, what Google Plus is about, and they still didn't understand a whole lot. But we're at a point now where they've matured, and communities, in order to maintain a certain level of activity and not become irrelevant, they need to be they need to not be a dumping ground. They need to be a breeding ground of conversation. And the thing that kills so many good communities is that they can become a dumping ground. Spammers come in, people who haven't had the who haven't taken the intentionality or the time to craft what they're saying to make it conducive for conversation. That's what kills the community. And we're not out to get anybody or put anyone down. We're just trying to foster communication and foster that breeding ground of ideas and conversations. And so, you know, while for some it might sound like we're a bunch of social media snobs or Google Plus snobs, really we just want the best for everyone, and that's why we join forces. We want to up the ante for all communities on Google Plus, and just for the maturity of the platform itself, we want to make it a place where it's the ultimate conversation and communication breeding ground. At least that's how I feel. I can't speak for everyone. That's just me.
I agree with that one, Dustin, 100%.
Something else to note, just with you know, introducing posts with, you know, this is interesting, or what was the phrase? I already forgot it. Let's see, I already
Check this
skipped it
out.
in my memory. Check this out. See, I forgot it already. The other one is thoughts, or you know, what are your thoughts? Stop just saying that. Just try to lead a discussion. You don't want to be a follower. You don't want to just say, oh, whatever you guys want to talk about. You have to try to craft the discussion in your favor. You know, take a final point or a final thought that you had in your post and expand upon it. Try to see if the community can build your next post, you know, your follow-up post. It's an amazing way to build content. But
and that's a great, I'm so glad you phrased it that way, because for me, some of my best posts or follow-up posts have come because I've shared my thoughts about something, asked for everyone else's thoughts, but because I shared my thoughts, it spurred somebody else. I love that you have our logo on your coffee cup, by the way. I didn't even see that until now.
Yeah, but I got a bobblehead. I got a bobblehead.
Oh, nice. But what I was saying is that the conversation, sharing your thoughts, your point of view, gives people more comfort, a higher level of comfort, and they're more inclined to share their thoughts. And for me, some of the greatest follow-up posts I've ever written have come because of the conversations I have within the comment section of posts. And you know, the people like Ben Fisher. You know, if I wouldn't have put out my thoughts on a little experiment that I did a few months ago, back in September of last year, I think, if I wouldn't have put my thoughts, if I would have just said, hey, check this out, I may have never caught Ben Fisher's attention, and he may have never felt comfortable enough sharing his thoughts, which totally expanded upon my own thoughts.
That's absolutely 100% right, because I had my research sitting in a notepad and I was like too lazy to get it up onto a blog post in the first place. But you know, to what everybody's saying here is that, and I think that this is the great thing. And when we started to say demand, this is what we were all about. We were about teaching people to become better Google Plusers, not only from the mechanical side of creating a better post, but just etiquette in general. And seeing that, you know, technical things aside, that, you know, but actually it does come to a technical thing, but from a mechanical standpoint, to get to that, is that when you do craft a better post, you not only get better visual engagement and creative engagement, but you get better people engagement. People don't want to hear about your latest product, or people don't want to hear about the check this link out because I think it's awesome. They want to hear about, I like this link, here's why, and more than that, here's what I get out of it, even if it's my post. And then naturally when you do that, it's human response is to come back and say, well, that's a good idea and that's a really good way of looking at it, but what if we look at it from this other angle? And here's why I think that's important. And that's going to spur a completely new conversation. And then if somebody's really crafty, they can take all those comments and put that into a new post.
Yeah, so there's some psychology to this that I think is worth helping people understand too, which is, I don't know if psychology is the right word, maybe laziness is the right word. People, every time there's a link, that creates an opportunity for what we can call breakage in the process. People don't want to go to that next step. And you certainly haven't done anything with just, click here or check this out or any of those phrases. You haven't created any reason for someone to follow through. But if you have content in the actual post and the post is in front of their face currently, your chances of getting engagement just go up through the roof. And at the same time, you're creating more connection with you, which is the thing they're looking for in the first place. So it isn't just, us preaching some philosophy here. This is just really good advice on how to behave on social media if you're trying to build your presence. And I want to add one last thought to that, which is if you don't have the time to say more about a given post, right, then do it later. Or maybe you don't get to that one and you do fewer posts in the day. It's better to do 5 really excellent posts in the day, or 2,
or 1,
right, than doing a larger number of crappy ones, right? Yeah. And it's hard because you could quickly get into places where you're they call it the bell from hell, right? You get so many notifications you're trying to process or whatever you're trying to do that it feels out of control. But just make sure that when you do engage, you do so in a way that's worthwhile, because the reader's going to get more out of it, and you as the person doing it is going to get more engagement and more out of it for yourself too.
And that's something I've always tried to stress, is that the rules in the community, I know they seem draconian, they seem, we were joking earlier, I've been called Hitler on several occasions. It's not about that. It's about helping. It's actually going to help you to follow those rules, to fully explain a post, to involve yourself in a community before sharing a link. And on that note, we do remove posts from people even if they look very good, if it's clear that they're only posting to the community and they never interact. It's not fair to the community. You didn't sit and build a following of 90,000. You came to a community who did it for you. And I think it requires some back and forth, and that goes into the ethical marketing that Kristoffer was talking about, that it's you ask people to look at your content, the least you can do is check theirs out as well. Oh, I just said it. Damn.
Can I bring in a question from the comment stream? I can't pop it up here because comment tracker's not working for me.
Sure.
But back on the event comments, Lori Noller asked for examples of companies or brands that are doing this well, and she didn't specify that. I'm assuming she's talking about what we're talking about. So have we seen in these communities, I know we have people that we can give as examples, but are there companies, brand pages that are coming in and being good community participants?
Oh my God, now I can't remember their name.
F1 something or other?
Someone new, yes. And they have been absolutely fantastic, and now I feel like a jerk because I'm not remembering their name. But
is that F1 Sauber you were talking about? F1 Sauber?
No, well, they're just a fun they're a fun Google Plus brand, F1 Sauber. They do Google Plus very well. They're not really involved in the communities, or at least not in ours, but they're also an F1 racing brand, so it's not. It's understandable that they're not involved in our community because they seem to understand the marketing already. But of course, nothing's working now. But no, there are definitely pages that are doing it. I mean, I hate to say, but all of our business pages, are examples of it. I mean, granted, I haven't been very active on my business, but I know Stone Temple Consulting is. Wheel Media is always putting out fantastic posts. Dustin TV, Steady Demand. And you guys, not only do you come into the community as yourselves, but you actually will come into the community as your pages and interact on posts that are relative to your topics, to your strengths. And I think that's something that will help you in the long run, and obviously it is.
I think that's valuable. That's why I wanted to bring that question in, because when something that I often emphasize when I'm asked about brand pages on Google+, people worry that, if I start going into communities, especially with my brand page, that's going, people are automatically going to reject that. They're automatically going to assume I'm there to spam. And I don't think that has to be true. I think you can come in as your brand page and be a good citizen and be a good contributor, and that helps your brand. That's great for people. Obviously, it's easier for people to connect with people, and they're going to look at that first. But if your brand is coming in and being human and being constructive and adding to conversations and sharing great posts, that humanizes your brand, and I think that's incredibly valuable. And that's one thing that brands could be doing better in communities. And again, a place where, as you say, we're already modeling, and we can continue to model that for people.
Yep. One actually, that page I was talking about, Zebra Studios, Gary Emmett Chandler. He's been a very active member. He interacts, he posts, he comments, and it's not just, he doesn't just come in. He wants to post his link, so he doesn't just come into the community and +1 10 posts without reading them and say nice link, or great post. I mean, that's not
or
an interaction. Or hi, yeah. Might as well not have commented. I've actually asked, I had one person who, she's a very nice person, but I noticed she comments on a lot of popular people on their profiles, and she'll comment on every single post and say, that's an awesome post, or that's a great post. And she has, a very high engaged profile, lots of followers, but I really don't think those followers are probably doing that much for her. It seems like a lot of empty engagement. And definitely, the smarter you sound, the better it will do for you. I mean, take some thought, like give it some thought, do some research. Try to benefit the conversation. Don't just add to it.
I got to interject here one thing, because go back a little bit to what Mark was just saying, because Mark really hit the nail on the head, and that is that people do buy from people. And we manage brands all day long, and one of the things that we teach our people to do is to not only get involved in themselves in the community, but actually themselves reach out to the moderator or any member or owner of the community and say, look, here is my intent in this community, and be very dead honest about it. Look, I'm looking to get links. I'm looking to spread brand awareness. I'm looking to create social signals. Whatever it is, just be honest about it. Because as long as we understand as moderators and owners what your intentions are, then we can come back and we can educate you and say, okay, cool. Thank you for telling me that. That's awesome. I'm going to note that down. Now, here's how you can go about that. And then now we can become educators at that point, and we can go ahead and say, this is how you go about doing it. Step by step, get involved with the community, +1 things that you really like, share other people's posts, give insight. Then it's okay to talk about what you do, but when you do talk about it, here's the format and the way that you talk about it, and that's going to get you the best engagement.
Plus, people will know you already. They'll say, hey, they were commenting on my post the other day. You know what? I'm going to give his post a read, and they might not have otherwise. And especially in a community of 90,000 people, or the combined 4 communities, it's over 100,000. You're getting your post in front of a lot of people. Take some time, craft it, and focus on that real engagement that'll help you.
It's interesting in the comments that Scott Scowcroft is worried about, if everybody starts doing what you're talking about, won't that overwhelm the communities? Scott, we're waiting for that problem. We would welcome that problem. If you look at the social media strategy community right now, as you said, almost 90,000 members, and Andrij, on a typical day, there's maybe 3 or 4 posts that make the cut, that kind of come through, and that's hardly overwhelming the community. I think we would welcome a lot more. We'd love to have that problem where we're trying to sift through too many great posts instead of having to cut out so many poor ones.
Right. because there are also some things that the content is lacking, or we'll click through and it's a beautiful Google Plus post. It's finely crafted. It looks exactly like our examples, but then you click through and it's a 3-sentence blog post with a video link, and the video is not even their own. So yeah, it's not worth traveling all the way to your domain and giving you that analytics traffic, that ad revenue, that whatever it is for it. So like Mark said, we're still limiting it. I mean, there are people that they try to game the system, they try to form fill their posts, but we will not allow that.
Yeah, and like Mark said, we're waiting for that problem to happen. And if you just look at the social media professionals and social media strategy communities alone, look at the number of moderators we have just ready to start moderating that kind of stuff. We have people. I mean, we've reached out personally to moderators in our community saying, hey, would you be willing to moderate such and such, and we're prepared for that problem to happen.
Yep.
Operators are standing by, right?
Yeah, operators are standing by. And when that does, even when those moderators get not enough, great. It's an opportunity to reach out to more people to become moderators and to grow those people and to mentor those people into better moderators and to maybe eventually own a community of their own. This is not a a linear thing that's limited. These communities are completely unlimited in what we're able to do with them, and not only the conversations that we have, but in the ability to raise up more social media leaders and to raise up more marketing leaders and marketing thought leaders, for that matter. Because growth spurs growth, and momentum builds momentum, and all that stuff. But I don't think that's a problem we'll ever have to worry about. It's a problem we have to hope for.
Yeah.
It's called #Bring It On.
Yeah.
and if we really like what you're doing, you'll be a moderator too.
Well, and that's exactly the idea with these communities. I don't want anyone to think that this is the Andy, Mark, Kristoffer, Eric, Dustin, Ben, and others show. It's our community. The idea of sharing ownership with these fellow gentlemen here in the Hangout, as well as a few that couldn't be here, and hopefully a few of the moderators soon too. But the idea is we want to give benefits to the people that are most active. Are you super active? You can become a moderator. If you become the best moderator around here, you will become a part owner. It's that easy. I mean, just focus on the interaction and good things will come, and that's kind of what we want here. It's we're all working together. It's about time we stop all trying to run a separate marketing community for each of our companies, trying to struggle with one moderator and 5,000 members. We can do a lot better together.
So it sounds like we're really embracing the 3 E's: elevating, engaging, and enlightening.
Yes, I like that.
Love it. Somebody make an infographic out of that. Oh wait, that's me.
Get to it, Dustin.
Yeah, it's the idea is use the communities, use the discussions community to help start crafting a post. The professionals community. Maybe you already crafted your post and now you want to get some feedback. It's definitely a great place to start. But I did just blank. So are there any other maybe comments in the feed, or does anyone else have anything?
There's not, but I was just actually at a conference, and I was up with it was me and Jillian Music, and we were speaking a lot about Google Plus, and actually the title of her session was Communities, Diamonds in the Rough, and it was more centered around a brand actually building its own community, but also how brands can interact in communities. And one question that I got asked probably about 5 different ways. So that means that even by answering the question, there wasn't sinking in, and that is a good way to really personalize / humanize your brand. Going back to what Mark said earlier, people buying from people. And another question that they had is how to get in touch with influencers. So one of the suggestions that I was coming back with, and I know we've all talked about this before on different threads and posts, and that is that every so often, if you're a small business and you're trying to get a post into a community and it's really well done, then go ahead and sign off as your name, as your own name. and that adds kind of that humanized element to it. And then, maybe even do a little plus mention to yourself every once in a while, not all the time, but every once in a while, to get people to go over and see your personal profile so they can track you that way too. Again, it's just bringing a much more humanized element to it, because at the end of the day, we don't want to hear from brands. We want to hear from people.
Yep.
Well, it kind of brings in another element that I think is really important for people to understand in all this too. Why is the human element so important? Well, it's really about whether they trust you as a brand, right? And you have opportunities from the way that you communicate in these communities and elsewhere online, as well as in Google+, to really send out signals that you can be trusted, that you, are going to listen to people. I mean, if you're listening and interacting and responding to people who aren't even your customers, goodness, there's probably a pretty good chance you're going to interact with them after they become your customers, right? And that just creates a lot of comfort for people when you do that. So that's, I think, something that's really important for people to understand.
Cool. Something I wanted to touch on that I meant to in the beginning, but we had a bevy of technical difficulties. So this Hangout series, it's gonna be a bit of a fluid format. We don't want to bore you. We don't want to just have the similar conversation every week. What's going to happen is we're going to have rotating hosts, whether it's owners or moderators or even maybe some guest host members from the communities. We're going to spin around topics. We'll obviously announce them in advance so you know what's going on, but we want to keep it very, like I said, fluid. Keep you interested and give us options for the future. But unless anyone has anything to add, we could probably conclude on this note.
Well, I wanted to maybe conclude on just one last thing. I wanted to give some people some real examples, some tangible examples of what type of content fits each community. So we're talking about 4 different communities, right? Social media professionals, social media discussions, creative social media, and social media strategy. Andrew, maybe you can start. What type of post, give maybe one example of a good post for social media strategy.
Social media strategy. All right. Not top 10 tips for how to get engagement on Twitter. We want to see a post that, I mean, I guess this will be any of the communities really, but that goes beyond that normal, that you're not writing for engagement, you're writing for trust and authority. And I think that's something that really needs to be noted, especially in the strategy community. That's what we want to see more of. We don't want to necessarily see infographics every single post. I know infographics get the best shares, best comments, best everything, but that doesn't matter to us. We don't want to just be an image dump. Take a look at the stream, see what kind of posts have come before you, and try to do something slightly different. Especially being that we have so few posts during the day, chances are we're not ever going to have 2 posts that are on the same topic on the same day being allowed in the community. That's something that we really want to try to stick to, give you variety. So that's definitely for strategy. Take a look at what's there.
Given that we have 7 minutes left, one thing I think that people really want to understand is why a post of theirs would get stricken, and more importantly, what'll get you banned. I know last night I had to ban somebody, and they got banned. The reason I banned them is because it was definitely a link dump. More important than that, it was a link with a picture, no insight whatsoever. But more importantly, they were coming back every single hour and trying to put it into a different category. So they earned the +1 ban hammer of communities.
I think that brings up a good point, Ben, that we don't often ban somebody instantly. I mean, that's where it's a repeated fraction, or you've warned somebody, or you've asked them to do something a different way, and they refuse to do it. Then they're probably going to get banned. But there are people that we ban instantly. I do every day. If somebody just dumps something that not only is a link dump, but is totally irrelevant to the community. There was a few earlier today where somebody just said, here's a picture of my sunset, or here's hi everybody, here's my dog. It's just like they're not even trying to understand what the community is about. And usually it's a blue head, which is our shorthand for somebody that doesn't even have a profile photo. And if you go look at the profile quickly, they're just dumping that same thing in a ton of communities. So that kind of person, I think we all agree, just is not there for the community, and it's better to just ban them right away.
A rule of thumb for any community, really, if your post is moderated, don't go to my profile, Dustin's profile, or Eric's and start trolling every single post or asking why, on Mark's post about authorship, why your post about web design was moderated. It's not appropriate. Give us a private post. Send me an email. I make my email is available on my profile publicly. I don't care. I get a ton of spam regardless of whether I make it public or not. I want to find out from you guys. I had someone email me yesterday. His post was moderated. He didn't even realize that he had duplicated a post from a month ago. It was kind of a rehash, but I believe it was an honest mistake. He let me know, and no hard feelings. We just go on our continue doing what we're doing. But definitely just read the rules. The rules are long, but we do that to be. We want to be concise. We want to let you know every single possible thing that can go wrong. And it's really, if you follow the rules, if you've read the rules once, it's not hard to realize what you've done wrong when you're moderated. That's what I never really understand, is when someone goes, how could I have been moderated? Well, just read the rules. All you did was post a link. What do you expect? But yeah, so it's 3:55. I guess, Dustin, anything to add as far as, posts banning, moderating, since you brought it up?
No, just look for conversation. Do not go dumping. Do not dump in the communities. It's rude, and nobody wants to see that. Look for conversation, spark conversation, and you and your brand and whatever you're trying to accomplish will accomplish everything you need to with a community. Be a good citizen. That's it.
Yeah, that's a great point to leave off on. I want to thank everyone for coming down, and absolutely just thank you everyone in the community. Without you guys, there literally is no community. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Welcome. Yeah. I think we should also want to re-emphasize before we go that so people know, this is not going to be every week, again, self-referential. We're not just going to sit here and talk in front of you about our communities and how great they are, but there's going to be a lot more content in this in the future. We're going to be, maybe, some weeks we might focus on some of the top posts from the community in the past week and discuss those more in depth. So, be tuning back into this, because there will be a lot more that will be helpful to you. It's not going to be the same thing every week. It's not going to be the same people every week, as Andrew said earlier.
Yeah, and we'll be asking you guys what you want to talk about. What you want us to talk about. We have other shows that we share within the community, specifically DMA, DME, and there was one other. Ben, you have a show as well?
I do shows every once in a while.
Right, but so we want to offer you something a little different. So pay attention and let us know what you want. That's most important. We'll do it. You want to see Mark and Dustin dancing? We'll do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've sung on Hangout, so that's the next logical step. Dustin, you have that what is that Psychobabble show or something that you?
Psychobabble, yes, the Psychobabble show. No, Psychological Warfare is one that I do with Nicholas Cardot, Wade Harmon, and Carolyn Capern. We talk about military psychological tactics, which is Nicholas's background, and applying those same psychological tactics to business, and why they work, and why we actually see them every single day by some of the top brands. So that's one that I do.
I haven't watched that yet, and now I have to. So
yeah, you can learn stuff like Dustin launches drones against his competitors. It's a lot of great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I would say is, before we go, since a lot of what we talked about was crafting posts in the proper way, is, Dustin, I think it would be awesome if you were to drop into the comments, or if you can, I don't know if you can screen share right now, your perfect post article that you have, because that's a really great model for people to look after when they're contributing to a community.
Yeah, I guess I can drop a link in the comments. That might be the best way, since we're running out of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really helpful to me. I've done ridiculous amount of study on psychologically why this sort of format and structure gets more engagement, but it does. Long story short, it does. And I've coached a dozen or so newbies on Google Plus how to use this perfect post format that I've come up with, and every single time it's just shot their engagement right out of the gate, right up to to blowing away their Facebook engagement and their Twitter engagement, because it's just there's the psychological principles elicit the engagement, and people are compelled to respond. So I'll drop that in the comments over here on the event page.
All right. Well, it's 4 o'clock, so I think we should let everyone go back to their 15 other Hangouts they have to watch today. But thank you again, everyone, for coming in, and hopefully we'll have some new speakers, some of the same for either next week or the week after that. We'll send you an invite.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.